the last video, what we did is we opened up our model, we extracted or generated a south elevation drawing and an east elevation drawing um, of our project, and then also generated the renderings for each of those elevations. So now the next step is to bring all this stuff into Illustrator, and we start to make sense of it, compositing everything together. One thing I'm going to do here also is open up the plan drawing that we generated in the first part of the project. What I'm going to do is I'm going to eventually resize this document so that we can fit our elevation drawings on the same document along with the plan. But I'm going to first, so I have that opened up, but now I'm just going to open, I can have multiple files open at the same time, obviously. But I'm just going to open up the elevation drawings that I created here. So elevations 267.ai. So I'm just going to open that up, and you can see both elevation drawings. I'm just going to make this document a little bigger. So again, go to document, setup, here we go, 17. I'll just make this 11 by 17. We might change that later, but that's, so I'm going to go ahead and select both of these at the same time and hold down the shift button and resize them up at the same time. I want to keep them the same size. Okay, I don't want to accidentally change the size of one and not the other. Okay, let's see here. And I'm going to just line them up. I mean, what's interesting here is that what I'd like to do is just make sure that the ground lines line up. Usually when you have these orthographic drawings and you have them arranged, you try to arrange them so that they project one to the other, one to one. So the ground, if we're, let's say, projecting laterally here, the ground's going to remain the same. And in that way, when people look at this, we go, okay, there's a hinge here, and we're looking at the south elevation. Here's the east elevation. We could even go to the north and the west elevation and line those up. But we'd line them up so that everything sort of matches, and particularly the ground would align. Okay, so we have a couple of other things that we need to do. Let's bring in a new layer, and let's add the underlays here. So I'll call this underlays. All right, and I'm going to start placing those renderings that we made. So here's the south elevation. Okay, it's really large, ridiculously large. Okay, and so one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this viewport rectangle for the south elevation drawing, and I'm just going to look at the size. So the size is width of 7.0139. I'm just going to copy that width, and then I'm going to come here and select my underlay, my rendered underlay, and go to the transform and just change it. Paste that in, right? So it's the same size. All right. Now we should be able to snap it up and align it here with the viewport rectangle box. There we are. Yeah. And line those things up. And I'm going to do the exact same thing now. I'll lock these other layers. I'm going to do the exact same other thing with the other perspective here. The other, or sorry, not perspective, but rendering. The rendering of our elevation. That's a really important distinction. East elevation, there we are. So I'll throw that in. Let's see, viewport rectangles. I'm going to unlock for a moment. I'm going to look at the width of this one. Let's see, transform, 7.25, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to hit OK and copy. So Control C. Then I'm going to go back to this underlay and do the exact same thing we did before. I'm going to paste in that new width, make it the exact same size as our viewport rectangle, and then we can just sort of put it in place. Carefully snap it with the smart tracking until it lines up exactly. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and lock those for the moment. I'll unlock these curves. I'm going to take off the viewport rectangles. There we are. See, look, now we have two elevations. They're lined up pretty nicely. Let's adjust line weights while we're here. And the key thing is that maybe you again, use the same line weights and line weight strategies that you use for the plan. So we have visible curves. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of those. I'm going to go over here to my palette on the top, on the left-hand side, and make sure that there's no fill set, but then, select the stroke part. Man, people keep emailing me. God damn it. 14 emails. And turn them all to black. Okay. And then go to the stroke, and I'm going to turn that to maybe 25 or 0.25 or 0.5, maybe 0.25 to start off with. Let's try that. Then I'm also going to do the same thing with my scene silhouette curves. I'll go ahead and make sure that there's no fill set, then select the stroke and change its color to black. Make that nice and consistent. 1 seems a bit extreme. I'll go to maybe 0.75. There we are. Yeah, that doesn't look so bad. This line, this ground line, I want to beef that up to make it 0.75. Yeah, make that a nice. In fact, maybe I beef up all the ground lines and go to 1. It's always good just to have a nice solid line for those elevations. Okay, now, really quickly, I'm going to make sure that everything's unlocked. And I'm going to select all of this stuff at once. Actually, I'm going to turn on my viewport rectangles as well. I'll select everything. I'm going to select everything. Okay. I'm going to copy. All right. And I'm basically going to paste these elevation drawings into this drawing with my plan. Okay. So I have a few things I need to do before I do that. First of all, I'm going to change my document setup and alter the size of it. So I'm going to need some room down here. I'm going to need some room over here. I can always change the size later. Again, I can always click and drag and do that stuff. But I'm just going to give myself some room. I'm not really too careful about how much space I have here and what the size is at the moment. And let's see, I'm going to also go to, I think it's general. I can't remember. Paste in place. Well, what I'm going to do is let's just paste this in and see what happens. You're trying to paste or drag into layers that are locked or hidden. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I want to make a new layer here. Okay. I'll call this elevations. Okay. And that'll be the layer I'm gonna use here. All right. So now I'll go ahead and try to paste. You're attempting to paste and drag into layers that are locked or hidden. I keep saying that, but honestly, I'm here. This is not locked or hidden. Oh, it's because, oh, I see. It's gonna preserve these layers. So here, let me just unlock these. Yeah, sorry, I'll just unlock everything. I'm gonna paste locked or hidden. Oh yeah, I'll do that. Okay. Sorry, I'm just gonna bring these in. I don't know why it was giving me that error, but once I turn everything on, I think I'm all right. I'm just gonna move these off while they're still selected, off to the side here. And now what I'm going to have to do is resize some of these things. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn off the viewport rectangles. I really don't need those anymore. And I'm going to make sure that I select both of these together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say object. Once I have those selected, both elevations all together, including the underlays beneath them, I'm going to group them. Okay, now I can't accidentally select just one piece of them. I have to select all of them at once. And when I resize, they'll all resize together. Okay, so the reason I'm doing that is I'm going to move this over here closer to my plan drawing and start to resize to make things line up the way I want them to. Yeah. I might need to give myself more room here a little bit on the document, but I can always do that after the fact once I know exactly how much I need. And I'm just going to resize this until I get everything perfectly lined up. All right. And then I'm just going to put it back down. So now what you can see is that we'd have a plan projecting to an elevation projecting down to another elevation. Now that I have those aligned, I'm going to ungroup things. Okay. I'm just going to try to select just this elevation, just slide it over a little bit. Give it a little more space. Okay. Now last, I'm just going to select everything all at once and try to better center this up on the document. Okay. If this goes over the edge, I'm not too concerned about that. Document setup, edit artboards. Now let's see what we have here. Height of 18, width of 24. Let's just make those exactly 24 by 18. In my case. All right. Now again, I'm just going to select everything and just slightly scoot everything over. Try to center things up a little bit. All right. Now I'm ready to save the Illustrator file. This old one I can just close now, not save, and then I'll save this as a PDF, and that's what I can upload. Okay. Which one thing else you'll notice maybe is that this is the elevation renderings. You know, they're a little darker than everything else. So if that's the case and you want to just lighten those up, you can always select them, just turn down their opacity a little bit, right? And then suddenly they, you know, they're not quite as dark or overbearing, right? That's your preference. You want to be able to see everything inside. You don't want it to look too grayed out. Yeah, there we go. Save. And ready to save as PDF and upload. That's it in a nutshell. Hope that's helpful.